All right, so that is the basic technique. So I've started this one from scratch. If I wanted to go back to my original assignment, I had it set up that way. I have my cutout of my creature on just a blue background. And I want to get really, really comfortable using different references. So I want to use references that are actually helpful. I'm not going to waste my time with ones that are too difficult to use. So I'm just going to make it really easy for myself. I select around the blue. I'm going to refine the edge. Hit OK because I have it remembering my settings. Then delete all that background. Just hit delete. Hit it a few times to smooth it out. Then I use my lasso. I just take the chunks that I want. Remember with clouds, it's all about the edges. Select the inverse of that selection, delete it. Now I've got this cloud to transform with and play with. Now where can this shadow help me? I think underneath my creature, right? Make it a little bit make it appear more separated. And because they're clouds, I can push and pull them just like the wind does, but I don't want to flip them upside down because then the lighting doesn't match, right? So I'm always thinking of what is the direction of the lighting? How does it make sense? I can warp them within reason, and I can obviously erase away from them. Okay, so this is starting to work, starting to help, right? It's breaking it up. Use my big eraser. I'm at fairly high opacity, but not 100%. I just kind of click and blend some of this out. Anything that looks too sharp. Now, clouds aren't like cotton balls. They're not the same softness everywhere. What makes them so visually interesting is that they have areas of being very soft, very ethereal, and then areas of being very sharp-edged and defined. And you want to have that same sort of organic mixture, really, in any believable texture you create. That's what you want. So let's play with another reference now. Maybe some of this, move it up to the top. Let's get a whole chunk of it. Duplicate that on its own. Now I'll select the blues out. Remember, contiguous is turned off, so I get all that sky coming through, because the sky is not going to match in your different frames. Soften that selection so it doesn't look too sharp and crisp. Delete it a few times, meaning hit delete several times to keep that softness going. Use my eraser tool. Oh, I'm getting some nice edges over on this side already. All right, now I'm just using a mouse because I'm not doing anything really refined that I need a tablet for yet. But the tablet, of course, can give you more precise size control. And then we'll get into switching to the tablet brush a little bit later on when we're doing Clone Stamp, where we control the opacity of what we're doing based on how hard we press. So far we've only used our stylus for its pressure sensitivity for scale, but we're going to change that up a little bit. Okay, what I was going for was a cloud form that kind of worked for my rock, and that's working pretty well now. See, that layer made a big difference, gives it a lot of complexity. And if I want to just softly grade it in, I can take my opacity way down and just hit it a few more times. Especially where things look a little unnatural. All right, now these edges are still too sharp, but I'll get to that eventually. Right now I'm trying to composite within the creature itself. Okay, this claw is pretty difficult. I need a certain type of cloud that will give me that claw look. And this one is lit the right way. You see that shape right there? I think that has potential. So let me move that up to the top, even though it's a very different kind of coloring. I'll fix that later. And I just want to select out that claw cloud as it is. I'm going to select all the blues. Maybe hold down shift and get a few more of these blues. Not that much. Right. Refine their edge. The smaller the selection, the quicker refining edge will go. And trying to be pretty agile and just have fun with this. Take my opacity up a bit. Quick compositing, speed compositing. I don't know what it is about digital painting or digital art in general, but it's not good enough to be just a great digital artist or a great digital painter. People are always comparing you and talking about their speed. So speed is somehow important in digital imaging. And I don't think speed is any good quality just on its own right. I mean, unless you're working commercially. And it's always nice to be able to meet deadlines faster. But I think speed is a good indication for your comfort. It's like your fluency with these tools. And nothing is better than just drawing with a pencil, right, in terms of directness. But good digital artists can have that same sort of fluency and directness when they know their tools really well. Okay, so I move this claw up to the very top, and because this claw is pretty important, now I'm going to start looking at the coloring. And I'm realizing that the color of this is actually working with my background pretty well. It's actually this coloring which is a little bit off. So I'm going to go to my base layer, which is so gray, and then I'm going to go to image adjustment. And if this is a nice trick, if I want to be really careful, I'm going to hit Command J to make a copy, so that if I don't like these adjustments, I can always dial them back. But I'm going to go to color balance, and I'm going to start pushing the midtones towards more of that bluish tone of my sky. See how big a difference that made? Then my highlights, I can push those a little bit more cyan as well. Big difference. Then my shadows, maybe just a touch warmer, touch pinker. So look, just that difference is huge for the bottom here. Doesn't work quite so well for the top. If I look at some of my other layers, and if I do that same color balance, this isn't making them lighter or darker, this is just shifting their temperature. So they all kind of fit in the same family. This will all help. So color balance, fantastic tool to help merge things together, even when it's just textures. But remember to visit all three of the tone balances. Start with the midtones, but then also be willing to adjust your shadows and your highlights. And you can always push them too far to see what they're doing, and then settle in at the right amount. Okay, so I'm actually pretty darn close. This leg doesn't make any sense, so I'm going to bring in something for that. I don't need to get every claw. Here we go. I need something instead that just kind of suggests that kind of spindly quality of a claw. And I like kind of these chunks down here. So I'm just going to take that chunk. Can always erase away. Duplicate that on its own layer. Select all the blues. Again, we're getting really used to these steps. We gotta be in the right layer. I can hold down Shift and I can extend those selections to more of the blues if I have a gradated sky. Refine the edge. Now we're having fun. Don't need to wait for it to preview because it remembered my settings. Say OK. Delete it a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Command D to deselect. Use my eraser. Move it down. How am I going to use this as my foot? I think about right there. That looks good. Use my eraser. Start biting away from it. If I start to lose the shape of my creature, remember I have that on a layer. I can move that all the way up to the top. Turn it on at any time and see how I'm doing. But I'm just trying to match the shape. So I like that bright highlight there, and I like the foot's kind of coming out. I don't need it to match exactly. And if I want that creature layer to be a guide, I can just take its opacity way down. So it's kind of there as I'm erasing. Take my opacity down quite a bit now. Remember, soft-edged erasers always when compositing textures. Especially clouds. All right. And now I'm going to use that same eraser with a higher opacity and blend that edge in. Get rid of the things I certainly don't need. And now I'm going to use color balance, adjustment color balance. Shift its midtones. Highlights. And its shadows into the right kind of family. All right, at this point, I think I have all of the layers I need. I really do. So I'm going to clean up a little bit. These different references to save memory, I can just delete. Anything that's not turned on. I might keep 1 or 2 for use later. Like that's a good all-purpose one. I might keep that. Okay, now I have my cutouts. I even have my overall texture, which might be fun to kind of gently apply to the sky as kind of a context, like so. I can decide whether I want that or not, like really gently. But now I've got all my components. Now I just need to refine it. So that will be my final demo. Refining all these components together using a lot of new tools.